Hello there, everybody. I'm Ross Pitt, Schwackwana, and this is Wizzy Pwuff, and this is Was and Wizzy's fanfiction powwow.
Was and Wizzies.
I am sick of Wizzy's shit. This is getting difficult. I'm sick of Wizzy's shit, you see. So I'm taking him through the magical world of My Little Pony fanfiction. Truly, I am the ultimate hero of today's time. And I think you should all bow down towards my majesty, me. Today, we are reading Sunlight Sliders, chapters 3 through, 6 or something. 3 through 5, maybe. Yeah, 3 through 5, I think. Wizzy, do you remember what happened last time on Sunlight Sliders?
I remember there's something about someone writing fan fiction and they were on a boat, I think, in the sky. So no, not really.
Alright, well that was kind of similar to what happened. They were on a boat in the sky. It was Twilight Sparkle and Sunset Shimmer were hailed as two shipping queens.
Yeah.
Or the ultimate ship and whatever. And Fluttershy was like a mega shipper of the two, you know, man. So she was high up in their ranks and stuff like that. And then they transported into a new world where, Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie were their, toys to get in, a claw machine, and Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie got them. Yeah. And also, they're traveling through worlds. That's the basic premise, and it's also got, a different author each chapter.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
Sunlight Sliders by Novel Ideas, Chapter 3, Tumbleweed. Twilight gritted her proverbial teeth. Proverbial teeth? As she felt the crane's metal claws dig into her non-proverbial leg. This is just giving me vibes from the, what's it called? 6 Characters in Search of a Point.
Ah, that makes sense, yeah. Oh, also, I think it was proverbial because she doesn't have teeth right now because she's a toy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just, saying that to be random and funny.
No, yeah, understandable. I think you really got to dig deep in this one, though.
She immediately entwined her front legs with Sunset's, not wanting to get separated.
Ooh.
Clinging together, they were both drawn up into the air. Pinkie Pie's face loomed huge on the other side of the barrier.
Sweet. It's a twofer.
Her face screwed up in concentration, tongue protruding slightly from the corner of her mouth, in an expression that would have been adorable had it been properly sized. Pinkie Pie's hands worked a set of control levers with an engineer's precision, and the crane's motor whined, whisking the 2 plush ponies through the air. Twilight stared down at Sunset, wishing she could say something to calm the alarmed look in her friend's inexplicably plastic eyes. The crane whirred to a stop above a cavernous square hole, with a snap of metal. Twilight and Sunset fell into blackness. They didn't fall far, landing on a hard, flat surface a second later. Twilight barely had time to wonder if her new body actually had any bones to break before a panel opened up above them, and 2 gargantuan pink hands reached down to grab them.
Woohoo. I got both the ponies. Told you I'm the best at these things.
Yeah. An equally enormous Rainbow Dash crossed her arms across her chest. I can still beat you in skee-ball, though. Twilight took stock of her surroundings as best as she could. More towering figures passed by behind Pinkie and Rainbow, wandering through a surreal realm of flashing lights and beeping machinery. The smell of greasy, deep-fried foods hung heavy in the air, and the ground was covered in a dark maroon carpeting. Twilight tried not to think about where the stains came from.
But you gotta get, a bajillion skee-ball tickets before you can cash in for the good prizes. And look what I got for just a quarter.
She bounced Twilight and Sunset through the air in the vaguest approximation of an equine gallop.
We, horsies.
She paused and glanced up at her friend.
Ah, don't pout, Rainbow. Here, you can have one if you want. Take your pick.
She thrust both plushified ponies forward. Nah, I'm good. I don't really do stuffed animals. Only things I got on my shelves are trophies, you know?
Ah, come on, Dashy. Your trophies are nice and shiny and all, but what happens when you get older and start doing other stuff and realize that nobody cares that you were the MVP of your third grade soccer team, and that hanging on to little tokens of meaningless accomplishments just comes off as kind of freaky and sad?
Wait, what? Rainbow Dash stared at her friend. Twilight, meanwhile, found herself following Pinkie Pie's line of thought, which would have been alarming even if she hadn't been inexplicably transmogrified into a stuffed animal.
I've been reading Kierkegaard for philosophy class.
Wait. Who teaches that philosophy class? I can think of one character.
Me.
Oh.
That's right. I teach that philosophy class.
Okay. Pinkie Pie beamed.
Absurdism is fun, once you get past the inherent meaningless of existence and all.
Okay. Rainbow Dash scratched the back of her head. A brief, heavy silence hung in between the two, until Rainbow finally added on. Want to go get some pizza?
Do I?
Pinkie Pie beamed. Again? Sorry.
Just let me put these two ponies away and we can go.
And again, before Twilight could react, she found herself crammed down into the darkness of Pinkie Pie's sugary-smelling backpack, with Sunset's stuffed form crammed down on top of her. For the first time, Twilight found herself thankful she couldn't speak in this new form, as that made the situation slightly less awkward. Slightly.
Sliders. We're home.
Pinkie Pie's sing-song voice declared, because that was such a sing-song voice, right?
Thank you.
After a short eternity of jumbling and jostling, the zipper to her backpack zipped, and Pinkie pulled the pair of plush ponies out, putting them in place upon a shelf with perfect precision. They definitely did that on purpose.
No shit.
Oh my god, why do you have to treat me like this?
Because you're treatable like this. It's the only
cry.
way you'll learn to be yourself.
I'm gonna
Yourself is beneath me.
cry. Pinkie Pie patted Sunset and Twilight both on the head and giggled.
Haha. Okay. I bet you two like it a lot better in here than inside that smelly carny game, don't you?
She giggled, and then blinked when a buzzing sound began to fill the room. She pulled a vibrating rectangular device from her pocket and peered at it.
Oh.
Pinkie said.
Almost forgot. It's time to feed Gummy.
And with that, she disappeared in a blur. Once Pinkie left, Twilight felt her paralysis lift from her strange new body. She turned her head from one side to the other, surveying the strange new world she was in. So is she, allowed to move when no one's in the room, sort of like Toy Story?
Possibly. That would make sense. That'd be funny. Although Toy Story, they can move.
Well, yeah, but, it seems like in this world it's mandatory that they can't. Versus in Toy Story, it's a choice. And for some reason, they choose not to move in Toy Story. I don't get that.
Yeah, they should be moving. Come on, guys. And also, why don't we talk about that insane, why didn't Buzz move when he thought he was just a real space toy? Or when he thought he was a real spaceman? It's weird.
Yeah. She'd been shelved in a bedroom. The sort of pink chaos she'd expect from her friend, no matter what the dimension. The poster of a long-haired man with a bloody nose above the words, "I get wet," was a little out of place, however. Sunset nudged Twilight's shoulder, drawing her attention. Twilight followed Sunset's pointing hoof, or, the soft cloth nub that should have been a hoof, to further down the shelf. Most of them were more plush, cloth creatures, though there were a few exceptions, such as a tall, for a toy at least, blonde woman of rather artificial proportions, and a small soldier made entirely of green plastic.
Dear God.
This feels so much like a Toy Story.
Yep, it really does. New recruits.
The Green Man barked out. So does that mean I'm the woman?
Yeah.
Sarge, be nice. The woman said, you know how traumatizing unboxing is.
Yes, sir.
Sarge snapped off a quick salute, only to sputter a moment later.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many times do I have to tell you? Just call me Barb.
Yes, sir, Barb, ma'am, sir.
Barb rolled her eyes and strutted, as there was no other way to move in the sort of heels she wore. Over to Twilight and Sunset, the other toys crowded in behind her, soon surrounding the pair. Sorry if they're a little enthusiastic, Barb said. We don't get new toys very often around here. What are your names? Twilight Sparkle tried to introduce herself by reflex, only to find the stitches along her lips to be entirely unyielding. Rarity would have been proud. She held a hoof up to her mouth and looked over at Sunset, who was similarly speechless. Oh, Barb gasped. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were, stitched.
Permission to check labels, sir, ma'am, Barb, sir.
The little man darted between Twilight's legs, making a beeline for a little tag on her reared right ankle. You should be asking them, Sarge. Barb said coolly. Her expression and tone warmed as she looked back at Twilight and Sunset. I'd like to apologize for him, by the way. Nobody's sure how he wound up here. Getting separated from his playset has made him a little kooky. The little green man didn't miss a beat.
Permission to check labels, weird horse things, sir, ma'am, sir.
Twilight cringed away a little, finding the examination of her tag oddly personal, but she finally nodded, allowing the soldier to read away.
Says here they're My Little Ponies, Barb. Machine washable.
A murmur spread through the various dolls and stuffed animals. My Little Ponies? Barb blinked and tilted her head to the side. They must make you differently. She rubbed her chin. We haven't seen any My Little Ponies around here since Applejack. What happened to Applejack? Twilight and Sunset shared a silent look with each other at the mention of their friend's name. Sunset nodded, and then Twilight turned a pleading look onto Barb. You know Applejack? Barb said. Twilight nodded.
Sounds like they're MIA.
Sarge barked out and jogged back over to Barb's ankle.
We'd better get them back to the rest of their unit.
Twilight nodded again, more frantic this time. She could deal with dimensional hopping, as could Sunset Shimmer. But how would the stubborn, tradition-loving cowpony deal with such a drastic change? Are you sure? Said Barb. Nobody's talked to Applejack in years. She mostly keeps to herself. An anxious twist gripped Twilight's heart. Was time displacement somehow involved? Things must have been worse than she thought. She nodded yet again, as resolutely as she could manage with her new fluff-packed body. All right. Barb smoothed out her fluffy petticoats. Sarge and I can take you to Applejack. It won't be easy, though. She's down in. Barb's words choked off until she took a long, steadying breath to calm herself before making a grave declaration. Applejack's in the basement. And that's the end of this chapter, so now we go on to Chapter 4. Drakey Sea.
Cool.
Here we are. Barb pointed up at the door, towering over them. Applejack's been down here for a long time.
Usually it's only ponies that Pinky brings down here.
Sarge continued.
And she never brings them back.
Twilight and Sunset gulped. Suddenly, the handle of the door began to turn. Sarge gasped.
Assume the position.
He snapped in an immobile pose of an officer giving orders with his hand held out. Barb went rigid in place as well. Unsure what to do, Twilight and Sunset held still. The basement door swung open and Pinky looked down.
Ah, look, Gummy.
She reached down and picked up Twilight and Sunset.
Your new friends are eager to see you.
She looked at Sergeant Barb and shook her finger.
Bad toys. You don't get to come to Gummy's party.
Man, why are you so mean to the toys, Pinky? She slammed the basement door and skipped down the stairs. That's dangerous. Pop music
It's
blared.
Pinkie Pie.
Oh my god, you're right.
She falls down, she'll survive, don't worry.
Pop music blared from a speaker in the corner of a brightly lit room. Colorful streamers and balloons everywhere. At a large table in the center of the room was an assortment of stuffed pony toys with party hats on, as well as a baby alligator in the center table surrounded by the remains of what may have been a cake. Why is there a baby
Dear
alligator?
God.
What is going on?
Because that's what Gummy is.
Oh, is Gummy a character?
Yep.
Oh.
Gummy is Pinkie Pie's pet alligator. In Equestria Girls, he's a stuffed toy, but in the regular My Little Pony world, he's like Gummy. Gummy is he's a tiny baby alligator with like no teeth. He's the best character.
Oh, so that's why it's Gummy.
Yeah. Gummy's birthday party has been going for a record 1,692 days, and we're not stopping yet.
Pinkie placed Sunset and Twilight on the table and produced 2 party hats from nowhere to slip over their heads.
We're gonna keep this going all night long.
Pinkie began to dance around the room towards the boombox playing the music. Twilight saw a familiar glow out of the corner of her eye and leaned over the table. Below, she saw the portal device activate and a glowing blue portal opened. Twilight pulled her hat off and put a hoof over Sunset to get her attention. She nodded at the portal below. Sunset saw it, nodded, and pulled off her own hat. Pinkie turned, saw the portal, and gasped.
Wait, you can't do that. You need to be a trained aperture science testing associate to use those.
What the heck? What is this crossing over with? Portal? Toy Story?
It appears so.
The 2 ignored Pinkie's ramblings and jumped into the portal. The portal opened and the 2 popped out and flopped to the ground. Twilight groaned. At least we can talk in this world. She took a look at herself.
And our ponies?
Sunset added. The 2 climbed to their hooves and looked about. Twilight soon recognized the familiar throne room of Canterlot around them. Her eyes tracked to the thrones in the room, and she froze. Sunset? Twilight poked her friend. Sunset turned and shared in Twilight's staring. Staring back from the twin thrones of the room were 2 alicorns. One of them had a pale lavender coat with silver blue regalia adorned with a 6-pointed pink star, and her mane was a flowing stream of dark blue and purple with stars. The other was bright orange and golden regalia bearing a red and
Dear
yellow
God.
sun. Her mane was a wave of shimmering fire. Twilight realized with dawning awe the 2 alicorns looked far too familiar. She leaned over to Sunset to whisper, "Do you see?"
Yeah.
Sunset leaned back.
Do you think these ones rule a kingdom of robots, too?
The lavender alicorn tilted her head and leaned towards the orange alicorn. So, would I be the lavender one?
Yes, this is... Okay. I'm gonna have to spoil it for you, but you were supposed to know this anyways. The lavender alicorn is Twilight.
That's what I thought.
The orange one is Sunset.
For a second, I thought it was Nightmare Moon and Daybreaker or whatever their names were. But then I caught on,
not?
and I kind of need to make sure. So,
All right, cool. It's okay, everybody. He's not a fan of the show, so it's understandable how he could make such a horrific mistake.
I've only watched the show like 0 times. Give me a break.
Indeed.
What kind of voice for this one? I guess it should be something more like, "Dear, these ponies seem suspiciously familiar, don't they?" The orange one pursed her lips and leaned forward.
I see a passing resemblance. But her mane does not shimmer like the night sky like yours, nor does yours have that purple streak. And the other's has a less lustrous coat in a far less appealing shade of orange. Hey!
So cruel. I'm with Sunset here. Sunset climbed to her hooves and glared. The purple alicorn chuckled and raised a hoof to her mouth.
Apologies. She was making jest.
Love that.
No, I wasn't.
Allow me to introduce ourselves.
The purple alicorn bowed her head.
I am Princess Twilight. This is Princess Sunset. We are the rulers of Equestria.
Twilight gulped and stepped forward.
I'm Twilight Sparkle, and this is my friend Sunset Shimmer. I see.
Princess Twilight raised her eyebrows.
Those names cannot be coincidence. Quite curious. It's rather easy to explain, actually.
Twilight looked sheepishly. Sunset cut in before Twilight could start.
Short version, we're from an alternate universe?
Princess Twilight nodded. Very well. And why have you come to this one?
Random chance, mostly.
Twilight shrugged.
Though I am curious about something. In my world, Equestria is ruled by the two sisters, Celestia and Luna. Does this mean you two are sisters in this world?
Gross. The two princesses looked at each other and burst out laughing. Princess Sunset shook her head and grinned.
No, not at all. That would make all this rather uncomfortable if that were so.
They are.
Uncomfortable?
Sunset stepped up beside Twilight.
What do you...
She trailed off, and the two stared as Princess Twilight leaned in to nuzzle Princess Sunset's cheek.
Sunset?
Twilight groaned.
Tell me they aren't...
Probably not. They may just be good friends.
Yeah, they're just roommates.
Yeah.
As Sunset spoke, Princess Sunset turned from the muzzle and pursed her lips against Princess Twilight's cheek. Man, they're so close. It's adorable. Just good friends.
Best friends. Nope, never mind. They totally are. Forgive my public displays of affection.
Princess Sunset's expression darkened.
I owe my life and my freedom to the love and courage of the alicorn at my side.
Sunset gulped.
Gulp? What do you mean?
Princess Twilight turned and swept a hoof into the air.
You see, here all orange ponies are executed.
Twilight and Sunset looked to the stained glass windows in the throne room. One of them depicted an orange and purple alicorn circling each other in unity.
It was over 1,000 years ago. My brother, Shining Armor the Bearded, devoted himself to magical studies after the death of my parents.
Okay, wait. I thought that he had a mustache for their mustache growing contests. I apologize. No one's going to get that reference but Ross.
I get that reference.
We loved each other dearly, but I wish to meet another alicorn like myself.
Princess Twilight beamed happily at Princess Sunset.
Do you remember that day?
Of course I do.
Princess Sunset's eyes shimmered.
I was drinking from the river at midday, the sun glistening on the water, the animals around me looking up as they heard some pony approach. Gag me.
And Twilight's like, totally, I'll do that. Sunset muttered. Princess Sunset ignored her.
And then you stepped from the bushes. I was in such shock I thought I must have been hallucinating or dreaming, to not only find another alicorn at last, but one so stunningly beautiful.
My thoughts were much the same.
Twilight scrunched her face. Princess Twilight turned her attention back to the pair.
My brother had been studying the sun and moon now that the winter storms of Windigos have been dispelled. He postulated that our cutie marks and stronger magic could mean we were attuned to those celestial bodies. With practice, we soon mastered our control and could move the sun and moon. We built a castle in the woods, not far from where we met, and began to hold court as ponies flocked to see us, the alicorns that could control the heavens. Okay.
Twilight raised a hoof to her mouth.
I'm following so far, but how did you save Princess Sunset's life?
Wow, you have just gotten way deeper with that, haven't you?
I was trying to make it deeper for Twilight and higher for Princess Twilight, but it's too difficult. I can't really differentiate it too easy.
Yeah, me neither. It's honestly getting to the point where it's like, it might be too low of a register for the microphone to properly pick up. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Princess Sunset hung her head and sighed. Princess Twilight leaned into her again and draped a wing over her.
I was born into a loving family and had a dear brother. Sunset here was an orphan whose parents perished in a timber wolf attack. She grew up fending for herself in the wilds of the forest. So when it came time for us to become rulers, she had...
I was asocial.
And asexual.
Heyo! Nah, I doubt that. I'd be nice, but nah.
Princess Sunset cut in.
I had always shunned the company of other ponies. They had either feared my powers or hated me for being unique. Twilight basked in their attentions and cultivated loyalty. I spurned their worships and invoked indifference.
Her expression flared.
I grew jealous. We were equals in power and standing, yet they loved her so much more than me. Why? Did I not raise the sun that nourished their crops, lit their lands, warmed their coats?
It's just like the other two, except it switched around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, definitely.
She closed her eyes and breathed deep.
In my weakness, I allowed my jealousy to turn to hate and anger. I was consumed by my darkness and transformed into a wicked mare of evil. Vesper Radiance.
With the final two words, Princess Sunset flung her hoof towards another window. The image of a dark red alicorn with black regalia and a flaming mane stretching into the air looked down from the image of a blazing sun.
As Vesper Radiance, I attacked Twilight to overthrow her and take both her and Equestria for myself. She was forced to subdue me.
Yeah, that was the plan all along. You just wanted her to subdue you. Heyo.
Oh no, Princess, don't subdue me.
Using the elements of harmony,
Twilight declared. Princess Sunset frowned.
Quite, yes. She cast me into the sun, banishment of a millennium. Then I was freed only a few years ago and returned to Equestria.
and the elements of harmony cleansed you into your true form.
Princess Sunset glared.
This story would be much better. This story would be told much better if you stopped interrupting it. Yeah.
Sunset chimed in.
As I was saying, no, the elements of harmony were sealed. My darling student had been chosen for the task of wielding them, but was too ignorant of friendship to be worthy.
Okay.
Trixie always did have a problem with her ego.
Trixie?
Oh.
Whoa.
Is Trixie the sunset of this world?
Apparently. Princess Twilight mused. Twilight's jaw dropped, but her counterpart didn't seem to notice. Princess Sunset turned and smiled warmly at Princess Twilight.
You stood up to me, begged me to stand down, to repent. You shouted how much you missed me, how much you wanted me by your side again. I agree, this is a boring story. Let's go to another one.
Ross, stop putting words in my mouth.
Yeah, I would if you didn't have that garbage in your mouth already.
Princess Sunset sniffed, her eyes watering.
I'd never known how much you cared about me so much. If only I had the courage to approach you about how I felt all those years ago.
Shush, my love.
Princess Twilight leaned up to kiss Princess Sunset's forehead.
The time for regrets is past. We are together now, forever.
Indeed.
Princess Sunset returned the gesture.
None shall part us ever again, and woe to they that may try. Oh, take me now.
Stop doing that.
The two looked over at the ponies in the corner of the room, Twilight making a confused face.
Doing what?
Princess Twilight asked. Twilight shuddered.
Kissing each other. It's weird.
I thought this was going to be a shorter episode, but with that voice, Jesus Christ.
I'm imitating a turtle character. He talks really slowly.
I know what you're imitating. That doesn't make it better. You hardly have the authority to tell us how to express our love.
It's like keep licking each other all over.
There's probably a fan animation of something like that.
Princess Sunset snapped. Princess Twilight giggled and nudged her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the night after your return?
No.
Princess Sunset giggled back.
It's mostly a blur. I had no idea what wonderful uses for aqua eructo you would come up with in 1,000 years. Okay, enough with this world.
Sunset repeatedly slammed her hoof on the portal device's button.
Let's get out of here before they tell us what they do with their horns.
Why'd you have to say that?
Wait, I want to know. I want to know.
You need to know for research purposes.
Please tell me.
Darling, we never thought of that.
Indeed, my mind is already...
The two princesses stopped as a portal consumed Twilight, Sunset, and their device. And now we have one more chapter to get through before this episode is kaput. This is Chapter 5, Fuzzy Fervert.
Baby.
With that name, you can only imagine what is going to happen in this episode, this chapter.
Let's find out.
The exit portal dumped them unceremoniously in a pile, limbs, tails, and wings, all tangled together.
Twilight, your hoof is in my eye.
Sunset grunted, trying to tug herself free.
Well, your tail was in my mouth.
It took a minute or two to get straightened out and back on their hooves, while Twilight shook out her feathers. Sunset took a look around at their surroundings. They'd landed in an immense but otherwise featureless square chamber. There were no windows, but lighting was provided by huge chandeliers that hung from the high ceiling. The only notable thing was a large passage that led off from one of the walls.
So, wherever we are, it's boring.
Twilight frowned at the stone walls.
Yeah, I'd agree with that assessment. Want to just go ahead and use the TPT again?
The what?
The Trans-Dimensional Portal Talisman.
Twilight rolled her eyes, levitating the device up to eye level. The amulet-sized contraption rotated slowly in her grip, its ready light blinking.
Weren't we going with just talisman for short?
Why stop there?
Twilight grinned maniacally.
When we can make an acronym. Sounds a lot more science-y that way.
Sunset shook her head and sighed.
You know, Twilight, sometimes you are so much like Saitwai, it's a little disturbing.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Which one was Saitwai?
Saitwai is the human version of Twilight Sparkle from the Equestria Girls universe.
Okay.
She has like glasses and she's different from regular Twilight Sparkle, who's a bit less nerdy than her.
She has her
Because
hair.
Twilight Sparkle also has magic, she's able to like you know, she's able to focus on different things other than just science, but Saitwai only has the science stuff, you know. She don't have any magic. At least she used to not.
She has her hair done all up, and she has the glasses, and then she takes it all off, and like Flash Sentry is like, "Whoa! I didn't realize that you were also hot."
Nah, Flash Sentry and Saitwai never would have worked out.
Really? I thought that was a thing.
Flash Sentry and Derpy Hooves, on the other hand.
Oh,
Now that's a ship.
that does sound like a ship.
Oh, I hope we can rate a story with that ship.
Yes. Okay.
Now I'm gonna go on a little quest to find one after this episode.
Twilight giggled and dramatically hit the activation button. Nothing happened. She pushed it again. Nothing.
Again.
I don't know why, but I like saying that with this voice.
It's a good voice to say it with, I can't deny.
Twilight's grin started to fade as she tried the button again and again. Despite the little blinking light, the machine continued to not do anything.
I think we might have a technical issue.
Maybe it needs a recharge period?
Twilight swallowed hard.
I hope so.
I guess we might as well look around a bit.
Sunset shrugged, trotting towards the hallway. It proved equally as interesting with more drab gray stone, no windows, and the occasional pool of illumination.
And no doors, which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out.
Is that a reference to something?
Haunted Mansion, baby. Of course, there's always my way. Did you do the pool of illumination?
Yeah.
I was only focused on the no windows part. Why is this place so big?
Maybe to fit your mouth, Sunset.
How about you go fuck yourself, you?
Sunset faded out, her ears flicking forward as she came to a standstill. She flashed her companion a look.
Did you hear that?
Twilight squinted and nodded her horn into the distance. Ahead of them was another pool of light, and beyond it was a opening in the endless stone walls.
Some pony said something. I'm sure of it.
The branching half was just as big and featureless as everything else. With only a faint blue-tinted light at the end of the tunnel, the voice, now obvious, was unrecognizable, like someone mumbling to themselves after rather than a conversation.
Ghost man.
I don't like the look of this.
Yeah, creepy tunnels with mumbling at the other end is never a good sign.
Twilight shook her head and nodded upwards.
Oh, dear God.
I meant that, actually.
Sunset followed Twilight's gaze. Above the intersection was a sign that read simply, Special Containment. Oh, now it's SCPs.
I mean, maybe not, but I'm
so.
hoping it is, actually. That's not a good sign either.
Twilight pulled the talisman out again and gave it an experimental push. Nothing continued to happen. Nothing continued to happen. She shrugged at Sunset.
Well, we're still not going anywhere yet. We either go forward or back. Both options aren't very appealing. But we did this to test out the device, and we need better lighting to run a diagnostic in the field. Sunset set her jaw, frowning before she nodded, and the duo pushed onward. The blue light got brighter as they walked.
I love that movie.
And the mumbling loud... Onward?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good movie.
it was.
The blue light got brighter as they walked, and the mumbling louder, but no more distinct. The hallway emptied out into another huge room, but this one was filled with empty cages of all sizes. This is definitely SCPs. They looked for...
We don't know that for certain.
It could be Scooby-Doo, you're right.
Yeah.
They looked around for the source of mumbling and spotted a small cage in one corner. Inside was a wizened old thing, the size of a pony with 4 black hooves, 2 wrinkled red claws for hands, and a shaggy beard under sickly yellow eyes. What?
Shaggy. I was like, see it as Scooby-Doo.
I actually just glanced at that, and that's why I said Scooby-Doo.
Oh. Well, alrighty then.
When they spotted it, he smiled back at them with sharp, misaligned teeth. T-Rex? See, I remembered this time.
Yeah.
Twilight squeaked out the name.
But you were in Tartarus.
And yet, here I still am, princess.
T-Rex gripped the bars of his cage with bony fingers.
Welcome, foolish mortal.
Twilight jammed the device's activation button, but it didn't respond.
We can't be here. We have to get out of here, Sunset.
God, I hope she never has to yell, Sunset, look out.
Sunset, look out.
Gunshot. Wait, you mean we're in actual Tartarus?
Sunset whistled.
I saw the gates once in Equestria, guarded by a 3-headed dog.
You mean friggin'...
Yes, that's right. Fluffy from Harry Potter.
Yay! Yeah, sure. Wait, why didn't I just read that? I could have just said that name. I didn't realize that that was actually Cerberus. So they have Tartarus and Cerberus? They're in our world?
No.
Wait. But they have Tartarus and Cerberus.
So, there could be multiple Tartaruses and Cerberuses throughout the multiverse.
That is true. There were multiple Twilights and Sunsets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does that mean there could be a me in the pony universe?
You want to become that one. You want to do the dimensional shifting on TikTok. That's all the rage nowadays.
What the fuck?
Look into it. It's
Never
crazy.
heard of that.
Yeah, Cerberus. I took him back once, after he slipped his chain.
Twilight rattled off the story mechanically as she opened the talisman's case. As she opened the talisman's casing to look at the inner workings. T-Rex smiled again.
You see, I remember when it was 16 hot. We were playing in the rain. God, I hate Twilight. It looks like I have 2 new roommates to waste away for eternity with.
He's so emo. Oh, look at my emo boy T-Rex.
Twi, isn't Tartarus supposed to be a prison plane?
Sunset's eyes narrowed at T-Rex.
Like, no one escapes from it? Ever?
Except for him.
Twilight groaned.
We have a problem, Sunset. The TPT is working, but this is Tartarus. The plane's very makeup is keeping it from doing that.
So things can get in, but not out.
But if things can get in and not out, that means... Dear God. So anyways.
T-Rex leaned against the bars of his cage, chuckling to himself.
Gone and trapped yourself here, princess? What a laugh. I can't wait to see what sort of noble sacrifice you will make to save yourself this time, Shut up.
Sunset stomped her hoof, putting herself between the cage and her friend.
Twilight will figure this out. We'll be gone soon enough. Oh, I doubt that.
T-Rex eyed the device.
Tartarus isn't just a prison. It is the prison. All others are but poor copies. No one escapes it unless you know how to break the system. What are you talking about? As she said, I escaped. I manufactured a situation that eventually led Cerberus to wander off like a pup, throwing off the tight balance of the etheric weave that keeps billions of twisted souls contained. So, as you can see, I'm something of an expert on the subject of jailbreaks.
T-Rex's smile widened.
Understanding and bypassing something like Tartarus's inescapable net needs experience. So, you're offering to help?
Sunset glanced back at Twilight, frantically poking and prodding at the talisman's odd mixture of circuitry and arcane fetishes. Why fetishes? What the?
Nice.
She looked back at the decrepit centaur.
Why? Something to do.
T-Rex shrugged non-committedly.
It does get tiresome down here with no one to talk to or subjugate. Thank you. Let me have a look, and I'm sure I could give you some pointers at the very least.
Twilight shook her head, her hair already starting to look a little frazzled.
I don't trust T-Rex, Sunset. But he's right. Maybe if we had centuries to study the way Tartarus works, we could figure it out. But right now, we're stuck.
15 seconds. It took 15 seconds from the beginning of Twilight's sentence to the end of Twilight's sentence. I don't actually know if it was 15 seconds, but it was longer than 10. I counted.
He just fell asleep after 10.
Unless we take him up on the offer?
Sunset raised an eyebrow.
I don't like it, Twi. If it makes you feel any better, my little ponies, I am still trapped in this cage. I cannot drain your magics, no matter how much I may wish to do so. You lose nothing by accepting my help.
T-Rex chuckled again.
Fine.
Sunset huffed, ready to move if T-Rex tried anything. Twilight brought the trans-dimensional portal talisman up to the cage, turning it in her aura so T-Rex could examine it. The centaur giggled like a foal, starting to do calculations out loud, intermixed with pointed questions about specific components. Despite his ancient and unnerving nature, T-Rex nonetheless proved himself extensively knowledgeable in the arcane and nature of planar cosmology. Cosmetology, even. He's very good at doing makeup. With a few deceptively simple tweaks, he instructed Twilight how the device could be made to slip Tartarus's binds. After that, the work went quickly, and in a matter of minutes, she was closing the talisman's outer shell. This time, when she pressed the button, a portal ripped itself into existence in front of them. Sunset whooped at the top of her lungs, grabbing the alicorn in her hooves and spinning them both around. While the hooves laughed together... What did I just say? How did I say that? While the ponies laughed together, T-Rex reached his spindly arms through the bars.
What? No hug for me? Oh, no.
Man,
Nah.
he just helped you guys. Come on. Sunset stuck out her tongue.
Thanks, I guess. I hope we alleviated some of your boredom. You've done more than that.
Sunset shivered at the look on T-Rex's face. The sooner they were away from the awful little goblin, the better.
Whatever. I'm ready to see where this takes us next. Come on, Twi.
With that, Sunset squared herself, lined up with the portal, and jumped through. Twilight lined herself up when the old centaur held up his hand for her attention.
One moment, Princess. I want to give you something. A little piece of knowledge that may or may not come in handy someday.
What is it?
Twilight glanced back and forth between the portal and the cage.
I have a perfect memory when it comes to magical matrices and systems.
T-Rex whispered conspiratorially, his twisted smile going wide again. Twilight pursed her lips, brow knitting in confusion.
Why are you telling me that?
Knowledge given for knowledge received.
T-Rex sank back into the depths of his cell, away from Twilight and the portal.
Be seeing you.
Man, T-Rex, you jerk. Well, that's the end of this episode.
Yeah, I guess Fuzzy Furvert was completely different than what we
Well, I mean, they did
expected that to be.
They did use the word fetish just randomly.
A, don't kink shame me, but B, I'm sure the word fetish has multiple meanings, probably.
This was a good one. I like these chapters.
Yeah, these chapters were real good. I'm pumped to see what other fantastical worlds we get into next time.
I definitely really liked how T-Rex character was written, even though I would have preferred if this chapter actually had SCPs like I was expecting.
Fetish, an inanimate object worshipped for its supposed magical powers or because it is considered to be inhabited by a spirit.
Look, my prudeness goes so far that it makes my mind imagine dirty things where there aren't. Just so I can
You're
avoid
disgusting,
them.
Wizzy.
Well, at least I still have my dignity.
Wizzy the pervert. Anyways, what were we saying?
Hey, fervert. Anyway, I was just saying that I really liked T-Rex character in this, how he was written and all, but I would have preferred if there was actually SCPs like I had expected at the beginning.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But hey, maybe in the coming chapters there will be some. Who
Imagine
knows? Imagine Dragons.
I do, quite often. His name is Spike.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. He gets along with this other dragon named Puff. Oh my god, I want to make a fan fiction that centers around them.
Oh boy. Drugs, am I right? Anyways, is that all? Is that all we want to talk about?
Unless you
I
have
suppose
anything
we
else
could
you want
talk
to
about Sunset Shimmer and Twilight Sparkle's growing relationship.
Ooh.
Girl. I definitely think they're going to end up together, you know. All right, so that's it.
That will be
I
all
need
for
to get
tonight.
away from Wizzy. So thank you all for listening in. Remember, don't trust your parents, and the vegetables will eat you.
Ross really coming in with that nice aged wisdom of his.
Yeah, when you get to my age, you know, you really start to realize things of reality and all that jazz.
And on the other side, when you get to his age, you start to lose it.
Yeah.
Bye. Hold on a second.
Are you done?
Hold on.
Okay. Oh, wow, wow, oh. So, how you folks at home doing? That's good.
Sorry, I just had to adjust my headphones.
Well, are they adjusted yet?
Yep.
Good.